Hi, Griffin.
Arthur Geese, my good man. Oh, we're playing this game again.
Again, yeah, finally, again. We've been waiting a while to play this game again, honestly. A year,
Have we?
almost.
Okay.
The game came out a year ago, actually.
Yeah, I guess so. What are we looking at here? Because I am confused as to whether this is this DLC for Ori and the Blind Forest? Is this a remaster? What are we talking about?
So this is from Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition. I guess I should probably check that, or I'm gonna have to edit the video title when this goes up. So what this is originally the developers had promised that there would be DLC for Ori, and they were sort of nebulous about what that meant. And what it would be, and it was supposed to be out toward the end of last year, and nothing ever happened. And you'll see me dying right there because this is very much still Ori and the Blind Forest.
That was some goofy, like, Dark Souls, like, you turn a corner and, like, gotcha!
As people who read our review may recall, I actually died more times reviewing Ori and the Blind Forest than Phil Collar did reviewing Dark Souls 2.
Well, he's really good at video games.
That is true. That's a low bar.
And you're trash.
I'm pretty bad. So they were never really clear about what the DLC for Ori was supposed to be, and as it turns out, what the DLC for Ori is a entirely new section of the game, like a fairly large new section of the game, which is what I'm playing right now, with a couple of new abilities for Ori, and also some basic quality of life improvements elsewhere in the game.
Okay.
So you told me that you'd played a little bit, and then you stopped, I guess?
I did. I think it came out around the same time as something else that maybe Bloodborne? This came out like early last year, right?
Oh, yeah, that sounds right.
I can't remember. It just got completely overshadowed by something, and I've always wanted to go back and finish it. I feel guilty that I didn't, but what kind of new mechanics and stuff are we talking about?
So the new ability in this footage that you'll see is an air dash. Which actually is something that can retroactively be used throughout the entire game.
How do they design for that?
I don't know.
That seems like such a big, deal. Like it would shake up the platforming in a big way. It would seem like it would break some of the platforming puzzles that they already had.
So I think like most good Metroidvania abilities, dashing is limited. And here you'll see something that happened in Ori a lot, which is that you fall somewhere and then you just die to go back to a checkpoint. It's limited in that you have to be standing still, and you'll see that later, or standing on a horizontal surface to dash, which you'll see later in the video. So I think that sort of limits its application all over, but it does allow for interesting parts of the game to be designed around it. It does mean that for speedrunners, there will be a sort of new thing in Ori for them to focus on, because apparently Ori has become the kind of a thing with some speedrunners, because it's
it's totally, it's made for that.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting to it'd be like if they patched Super Metroid and be like, by the way, here's a thing, and it saves one frame every time you do it.
Exactly. So in addition to that, they've also gone and added some things to the base game to change it up a little bit. That includes new modes. There's a new one life mode with a leaderboard attached. Yeah. So there is an achievement to do one life mode, to play through the game on one life. And people found some ways around it to make it happen without actually doing it. And you'll see that my platforming skills in Ori are rusty, and I struggle on this part for a while, so we've got a little bit to talk.
Oh, good.
And this is also showcasing the new area's sort of mechanic. Like every area in Ori sort of has like a conceit to it. And here it's this item you're carrying around reveals platforms and causes them to come into existence. So you have to sort of figure out ways to navigate around the environment that way, and you'll see
that's
that
really neat.
I have to set down the rock to keep that wall in place to keep the beam from destroying me.
But now that you don't have it, you can't get back up.
Yeah, and it comes back down. So that's a nice smart addition, so I don't have to backtrack way back and get it. So they've added a one life mode, which once you die, it actually adds that to a leaderboard. So you
just to show how far you got?
Yes, to compare how far you got on your one life and what you did versus everybody else.
That's nasty.
In addition, one of the sort of chief sort of criticisms of Ori from a lot of people, and it made sense to me, given, again, that I died multiple hundreds of times playing it, is that it was too hard. And it has kind of a clever save system where you can put a save down almost anywhere.
Yeah.
But that's not enough in some parts to make
Yeah,
it.
because I pretty frequently I felt like I was way too conservative with my saves. Because I do that with like any item in any game with items in it, where it's like, do I use this now or wait or hold on? Like I was way too conservative with my saves, and it probably impacted how much fun I was having.
Yeah, and so not only that, there are parts of the game, one of the most notorious being the Ginzo tree, which is like, instead of bosses in a lot of places, they have these platforming sections that are really hard without checkpoints. And one of the things that the newly added easy mode does is not only does it decrease the amount of damage that Ori takes from the environment enemies, it adds checkpoints to sections like that to allow people to actually get through the game. And it's also added increasingly high difficulty levels as well, if you really like pain, I guess. So there's that. And
what do you? I definitely want to hear more about like what else is new and stuff. But I want to circle back to like this release strategy seems like kind of busted a little bit. Like I obviously I don't know how they're handling the pricing and the release of it and all that jazz. But if I was promised, DLC for a game and then it comes out that it's just like a remastered version of that game, like is it going to be significant? Is it going to be like the same price? Are the people who already have the game going to get some kind of discount? Like how are they handling that?
So it's being released again like as its own thing on Steam, Xbox One, and the Xbox One game store. And for people who already own it on Xbox One or Steam, because it hasn't come out on the game store yet, there's an upgrade path. Like you just pay to upgrade it. And I don't know if they've announced the price yet or that they're going to announce the price tomorrow when the embargo for this is up. But I have gleaned that people should not be upset about what that price is.
Can you use your save from the base game, or are you gonna have to start all over?
They weren't really clear about how that would work, but it's suggested that you should just be able to go into the new content from an existing save.
Do you have any idea like where in the like campaign this new stuff comes in?
Yeah,
it's
the end, or? No, it's once you sort of find the spirit tree, which is very early on, very early on. And so there's that. A interesting thing about the multiple versions of the game that are releasing. If you buy the Xbox One Game Store version or the Windows Game Store version of the game, and here's the dash that I just acquired being used at this part. If you buy the Windows Game Store version and have the Xbox One version, they're cross-save. So you can actually, your progress carries across Windows and Xbox One.
Wow, that dash is going to like shake up speedrunning a lot.
And so that does not apply to the Steam version of the game, unfortunately. Because the Xbox Game Store version on Windows uses Xbox Live stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It does make sense. It's kind of a bummer. It does not have cross-buy. The Quantum Break situation does not apply to Ori, unfortunately.
But I think people who buy this game on Steam are probably buying it on Steam so they don't have to mess with the Xbox stuff.
Right, but I mean the Windows Game Store version is not coming free with the Xbox One copy of the definitive edition. So that's kind of something. Other things that they've added that really sort of improve that quality of life stuff is that you can now fast travel from Spirit Well to Spirit Well, which you could not do before.
I guess I didn't get far enough in the game the first time I played it to not realize that wasn't in there.
Yeah, it wasn't. And I mean, the game did a pretty good job just leading you from section to section, but you still had to cross ground that you'd already crossed. But you may not want to use it because the new abilities mean that they've actually added new secret areas into the game.
Oh, so you're going to want to like go back and play it again anyway.
That you can only access with the new abilities. So there's lots of stuff hidden throughout the game, even if you've played it all the way through, to find. So I think that you're probably going to want to do that.
Yeah.
But it's very much Ori. It's very pretty. It's got more music written by, I think, Gareth Coker is the name of the original composers.
So you were a big fan of this game when it first came out,
I was.
Right?
I thought it was one of my favorite games of 2015.
Do you think this stuff is enough for you to want to dive back into it? I feel like for challenging games, especially, like once I finish them, I'm like, yes, I did it. I don't have to play this game again. I beat you, game. And it'd be like, not quite. No, you didn't.
The thing is that Ori isn't just challenging. I think that it is genuinely fun to play. It controls really, really extremely well. and that there's a good sense of challenge and accomplishment for pulling stuff off.
Yeah.
And I did play a little bit of it over Christmas break to test out a new computer, and it's still great.
Holds up.
So I'm definitely curious to see how that stuff all sort of translates into the game now a year later. But I'm definitely
it certainly seems like the kind of thing that, like, for me, who didn't finish it the first time around, like, this might be enough to actually get me back in.
Yeah, I definitely think that if you missed it last year, that you should check it out, because obviously there's not really any games out right now. So what else would you play? But yeah, it comes out actually very, very soon, like in the next couple of weeks. I think timed to the 1-year anniversary of the original game for whatever reason. So yeah, that's the definitive edition of Ori and the Blind Forest.
Maybe. You think that's what it's called.
I think that's what it's called. Maybe we're wrong. We're professionals here.